Hello, everybody. This is Barbara Drazga, and today I am here with Tim Jordan from Hickory Flats, where we're going to talk about how to find hidden profits in private label and creating your own brand of products. And this is going to be a content-rich webinar, so go ahead and make sure you've got a piece of paper and a pen, glass of water, no distractions, shut off your phone, turn off, just Ryan and myself, turn off that volume on your phone, shut your office door, and we're going to drop a ton of content today. So just make sure you're paying attention and engaging, and we're also going to ask you to answer some questions in chat just to get your feedback and make sure you get your questions answered. We'll do a Q&A towards the end, and we also have a Facebook group that you can drop the questions in. And let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Barbara Drazga, and you can sign up for my newsletter at ecominsights.com, and I send out some news and analysis of things that are happening in the Amazon and online seller space. You can also ask questions of both of us in the Facebook group, Business Building for Amazon Sellers. It's at facebook.com/groups/DealDiva. And I'm also the creator of the Bundle Masterclass, so I teach people how to create product bundles and bring them to the Amazon Marketplace. And Tim Jordan, thank you so much, Tim, for taking time out of your busy schedule for this webinar series. He's the owner of Hickory Flats, and Hickory Flats provides a comprehensive suite of services to Amazon sellers like myself and like you guys. And he can be found on Facebook at Hickory Flats Inc., and you can join his page and follow his doings. So Tim, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to talk about today, and that is how do we dig in and find profit on Amazon as brand builders?
Okay, so quick review. I know there's some of you that are here now that have not been here on the previous days, and you will get those replays, the links to those emailed to you sometime early next week, according to Barbara. So we talked about, I'm looking at some notes if I look down, so much stuff I want to make sure I don't get sidetracked. So the first day we talked about some of the big problems in mainstream private label sourcing, basically the places that people are getting ideas. The majority of that starts with going to Amazon.com, in my opinion. The first place you should never go to is Amazon.com, because in that sends you into that spiral, that kind of rabbit trail of playing follow the leader, of finding products validated on what others are doing. I think that the best products to sell you will never find on Amazon because they are either not there or they're not trending enough for you to easily find them unless you know what you're looking for. We talked about too much dependence on software tools. We talked about software tools that basically validate a idea based on what other people are selling. So stuff like Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout's a tool I use for a very different reason. You might be shocked at why I use it. But basically, if you're going to Jungle Scout and pulling up these product ideas, and you see 7, 8, 9, 10 other people selling it, and you think it's a good idea for you to jump on, you're probably not aware that other people are seeing that, and maybe for the past 4, 5, 6 months, people have been sourcing that, and you're just getting into a mountain of competition. I like the stuff that the validation tools like Viral Launch and Jungle Scout tell you not to sell because there's not enough sales data to validate it. We talked about competitor validation, same thing. We are scared of jumping off a cliff by ourselves. So a lot of times we like to see that other people have succeeded before we jump off the cliff. Well, that leads us to following leader. So of course we need to know that there is a cliff we can jump off, a figurative cliff, and still have a reasonable amount of success, or a reasonable guarantee of success, I should say, based on information besides other people selling. So yesterday we looked at a bunch of case studies. We looked at things like the Yeti Cup, the snot-sucking nose Frida, items that that these people did not invent. They did not have to design this, did not have to engineer it. They just found a niche. They found a demand away from Amazon, whether physical markets or in a different country, brought it to the U.S., not even on Amazon, but just to the U.S. to begin with. And now they are potentially billion-dollar brands. And it was just kind of an accident. They stumbled upon that. So what I want to focus today on is how to stumble on those ideas. And there's a million ways of doing this. I'm going to hit like my top 5, the top 5. And I'm looking at the attendees in here. Some of these folks have heard me say this for like maybe a couple years on a very small scale, but I've actually honed those techniques a lot. And I'm going to show you my favorite piece of software that I use as well to find these. Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to probably run out of time today. I've got a lot to go over. One of the best places to find new products to sell, I'm going to hit share screen here. All right, should have my screen, is Pinterest. Pinterest is a magical website. Now they're running ads on it. There's a lot of stuff going on, but Pinterest is basically just a place for people to show off pictures, not even products, but just pictures. So what this does is it creates a unique platform for collecting what is trending. And frequently, these items can be monetized. So if I just go to Pinterest, this is my feed based on stuff I've been looking up lately. Remember, yesterday I showed you an example of these paracord handles for Yeti cups, and now there's a lot of paracord stuff popping up. A lot of stuff on here, is not really applicable to what we're doing, cutting up a potato, a tire, stuff like that. But let's just pick a niche, right? This is what I like. So if you think you have a niche that you're thinking about getting into, and I'm just going to randomly pick one here, camping. So what I can do, and let me back up, start timing how fast it takes me to do this. And I haven't checked this. I haven't practiced this camping. I just randomly pulled that out of the air. And think about how much time you're spending on Amazon going through those traditional mainstream approaches compared to how much time I'm going to spend doing this. All right, looking at new ideas. Now, a lot of this stuff, like I said, is not an item you could sell on Amazon. A lot of it is already there. But let me narrow this down a little bit. Camping gear. Okay, so Pinterest makes money by having cool stuff, right? A lot of this stuff is super difficult. A lot of this stuff is, highly designed, engineered stuff. But I'm just going to scroll through here and look for ideas, right? That's kind of cool. Not that we could sell it, but who puts an egg in a tater? So I have no idea what this is. I have never seen this before. Do-it-yourself projects. I want to open this up. A pocket grill. Okay. It's actually really cool. So it looks like all they did is they take this copper pipe with ends. You can buy this at Lowe's or Home Depot, any home improvement store. See, it's not even straight. They just hand drill these holes in it. They took some metal rods and they create a camping grill which fits in your pocket. That is amazing.
Okay, so you told us to time from start to finish, and I actually did. It was 1 minute.
So in 1 minute, I found an item that is likely not on Amazon, okay? Now, you have to go through a lot of these to find ideas, but let's just do this. Let's type in folding camping grill. Let's see here. Okay, lots of big stuff here. This is, I guess, a similar product. It folds down, but it's maybe a 12 by 6 inch item that doesn't fit in your pocket. Right? So there's a lot of stuff here that's all very, very similar. Now, I suspect that this is here's one, okay? So someone's already jumped on this, but you get my point. So basically, someone has taken that same idea and recreated it, okay? So what I'll do is I'll go through Amazon or through Pinterest, find these ideas, check on Amazon. Now, just because someone else has already done it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. If you look at this, 101,000 in sports, that's not great. Very poor reviews. I don't know why there would be poor reviews there, but I could search for that. So basically, I've identified a potential item from Pinterest. There is one on Amazon, but if I went to Amazon, I would never find this, right? Like it could take me hours and hours of digging to find this. Now, they've got some poor reviews, only one review they just launched. Maybe there's a complete design flaw with theirs that you can fix. So what I'm going to do, let's assume that this doesn't bother me that I found this one selling, but let's assume that I didn't find that, right? Just to run down this rabbit trail of teaching. Let's assume we didn't hit that, but all these other camping grills are the same. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to one of my favorite tools ever. If you're not familiar with Helium-10, you need to be. And I don't get paid to endorse their stuff. They don't, have some special relationship with me. I just do this a lot, and I get exposure to a lot of software, and I talk about what's good. Helium-10's magnet. This is a really cool tool. Check this out. What it does is it searches search volume of multiple keywords. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to type folding camping grill under magnet. So they've got all these different programs, different pieces of software. Magnet's what I'm going to go to. It's going to take a few seconds since I'm live streaming, slowing me down a little bit. Okay. So exact search volume for camping grill. Let's see. Some of this stuff, so camping table, camping grill, 16,000 searches, right? So this is exact phrase search volume per month. Sponsored ASINs, that means there's 270 people running sponsored ads on this. Like, you don't want to mess with this, right? But now let's go down into a little bit more narrow. And you can also look at what other people are searching for that's related to it. So like related keywords, portable, small, side, great, camp. So let's go folding camping grill. Oh, I just searched that one, didn't I? Let's go small folding camping grill. So of course, this isn't the greatest example. It's just the first one that I randomly came across. But if you start looking at all of these different keywords that they've got, right, this is all related to the grill industry. So not only am I going to find potentially new ideas doing this, because these are searches that are kind of relevant and related, but what it's also going to do is it's going to show me how many people specifically are searching for small folding camping grill. Right now, there's nobody. Otherwise, it would show up here in this thing. Nobody's searching that exact same keyword.
Tim, how about portable grill?
Yeah, that's going to be a huge one. Let's do this. Pocket camping grill. Portable is going to be massive. Every Coleman and all that stuff's going to be on there. Let's check this. Okay, here we go. Backpacking grills, camp grill. So long story short, what I can do is start narrowing all this thing down really, really fine into see what people are looking for in that niche. Now, what this magnet IQ score is, this is not a product validation, okay? I talk about not relying on Jungle Scout, not relying on Viral Launch, services like that to tell you what's a good idea. I still agree with that. What Magnet does is it just gives you a correlation between high search volume and low competition. And the way that Helium 10 calculates competition is how many products are having a sponsored ad run on them and how many products are just available under those same keywords, right? So then what I do is I hit this Magnet IQ score and get up into the top scoring things, which are that relationship between high search volume and less things offered. Now, of course, you've got your name brand stuff. Of course, that stuff's gonna score higher. But once you get down here, you start seeing some crazy stuff like Gentleman's Hardware. I don't know what the heck Gentleman's Hardware is, but apparently people that are searching for grills are also searching for Gentleman's Hardware. So I can run down these rabbit trails just because I came to this, just because I was on Pinterest. Now, what would have been really cool is I went to Pinterest, or I found this item. We jumped over to Amazon. We found out that nobody had one exactly like it, but we could see that the search volume that I just showed on Camping Grill was like 80 or 90,000 a month, which is pretty cool. And then since the item is unique, I'm going after a frequently sought after searched term, but I'm not competing on style. So now when I run a pay-per-click on this, I'm not competing with everybody. It's not like that meat tenderizer that I showed you that everything is on there. And I suspect that if I go to Alibaba, I don't know this, and I'm just assuming for the sake of time, you're not really going to see this. So what you're going to have to actually do is like buy one of these, make one of these, and have it actually sourced and produced. But if you do it right, you can be that locomotive on the train instead of the caboose like we talked about. So let me get back over to Pinterest. So running down that rabbit trail, again, I'm looking for simple things, okay? Because a lot of this stuff is going to be really cool, super hard to produce. This axe, amazingly cool. You're going to have to do some serious engineering, and your MOQ on this thing is going to be, I don't know, 10,000 units. So what I'm looking for are those simple things or for just ideas. So let me find another one. I don't know what this is, but it's kind of cool. I don't know why someone would put a strainer on their can. I guess like if your can is partway frozen and you've got ice in it, or maybe it's an aerator, I'm not sure. But again, this is a very simple item, right? And you're going to start seeing stuff pop up on Pinterest. My experience, Pinterest is showing trends in items for about 18 months before Amazon really starts getting after it. I still don't know what this thing is, but you get my point. You could run down these rabbit trails and check this stuff and see what's going on. All right. One cool thing about Pinterest is that once you start looking at an item, you can automatically get ads run to yourself for new items in that category. So since I looked up camping gear, Pinterest values itself in being the first to the market with information, or the first to the market, or not to the market, but the first with the information of a new product in the market. So what will happen is for the next 2 or 3 weeks, camping gear, new stuff will pop up on my feeds, whatever website I'm on, all those sponsored ads, even on Amazon sponsored ads. Pinterest will cross promote to Amazon's page, and I'll start seeing new things pop up that people are just launching because Pinterest wants to be known as the new people, right? These things, I saw these on Pinterest before they were on Amazon a few years ago. This is cool. So you guys have seen the like the silicone strainers that fold. I have no idea if there's a bucket, but that's a cool idea that you could have easily made in China. So long story short, I told you to time me. If I spend 30 minutes on Pinterest, and I've timed this before, I can usually come up with about 30 product ideas, and in 2 hours I can validate if any of them are good. 30 product ideas. If I'm going straight to Amazon and I'm just typing in like camping gear, the same thing I typed in, all I'm going to be shown is the really popular stuff that's already selling, right? So now I'm already at the back of the train. And that's why I like going to Pinterest, is because Pinterest will show me the stuff that's the newest because they value themselves in that, where Amazon's algorithm is really giving kind of priority to the more established stuff, the stuff that's been there. Make sense? Everybody on the same page there? Yay, nay? Okay, I'm going to assume so. Barbie, you have any questions about Pinterest before I jump to the next one?
No, not at all. And somebody identified what that strainer thing was. It actually keeps bugs out of your drink.
Oh, cool. So obviously it's not the latest, greatest idea because people have seen it. But my point is you can find these really simple ideas that would be easy to produce on Pinterest as opposed to coming here. All right, Etsy. Now, most of you know what Etsy is. Etsy is a sales platform, but it's also really popular for craftsman type, like artisanal handmade stuff, which is really, really cool because this means that Etsy is showing easier to produce items than potentially Pinterest. You know, Pinterest is showing a lot of real technical stuff that's really, you know, good eye candy. Etsy is probably more so than Pinterest, where I like to go for actual product ideas, Pinterest for trending stuff, because I can reproduce nearly anything on Etsy. If people are making it in their garage, if people are making it in their craft room, I can get it made in another country in a factory, all right? And if it's simple, I can probably make a few myself to test, all right? Here's a bomb. I'm about to drop one for you. Everybody talks about testing with pay-per-click. If I find an item on Etsy, I can buy the item. So if I can find something on Etsy that's not selling on Amazon and I don't want to take that giant risk, I will literally go in and buy 10 of something, send it to Amazon because it's frequently not on Amazon, so I can create a unique ASIN and I can actually test it. Then I'll keep one for myself, and if it tests well, then I keep my mouth shut. I don't tell anybody about it, and I go to a large production scale, get whatever my MOQ is, 300, 400, 2,000, whatever it is, get those things produced. Now, most of you that know me know that we also have a sourcing operation going on in Central America, in Guatemala. And Etsy is also where I frequently go to go for Guatemala. Now, check this out. All of this stuff here that I'm seeing, like this just randomly popped up. All of this stuff means it is trending. Leathers, watch bands, all of this stuff. Think about the potential storytelling that you can do by having this handmade, fair wage, fair trade produced. Think about your social media content, and Etsy is full of this stuff. So that's a side note. You can get this stuff made anywhere, but specifically since I'm, doing a lot of manufacturing in Central America, it's really cool to me. All right, so let's run down a rabbit trail. Let's go to home and living. Let's go to kitchen and dining. All right, so you'll see a lot of stuff here that is like customized, so just skip over that. We know we don't want to sell beer cups and cutting boards on Etsy. But as I cruise through here, I can get some ideas. Now, this is a rabbit trail that I've chased before. It is this industrial shelves. Like most of you guys have seen this, right? It's just a shelf with this metal bracket you tap into the wall. I don't know what you'd call this. Would you call this a rustic floating shelf? Let's go over here.
Yeah, industrial's probably a good keyword for that.
Yeah, I think floating shelf doesn't actually have the brackets.
Yeah, also steampunk shelf if you want to niche it down.
Shelf. All right, it's going a little slow since I'm live streaming, but it's getting there.
Well, it's pretty fast, actually.
So, all right, so floating shelf, exact search volume almost 20,000 per month. Broad volume is up to 61,000 per month, so 3 times the broad volume. So broad volume is going to have like this stuff: TV wall, wall mounts, TV shelf, all this stuff. So when I look at these competing products, I don't get freaked out because the 5,000 products that are indexing for the same keyword is probably searching under the broad volume, right? So I can spend a lot of time going through this, but basically what I'm looking for is a specific keyword that is going to have a high search volume with low competitors. So I'm going to hit this magnet IQ score, see what comes up. Wow. Flatting shells. Wally floated strength. Okay, so what's happening is, this is interesting. People are misspelling stuff. Check this out, gloating shelves, which means there's actually a very high amount of people that are searching for this misspelled, but there's only 2 products. So I didn't even expect to see this, but check this out. So there are 60 people a month searching for a gloating shelf, but there's only 2, actually headline ASINs, sponsored ASINs, nothing. There's 2 people that looks like they've misspelled it in their back end. But this is another little tip, like, and that's one thing that what's it called? Helium 10 does, where they have like this misspellinator where you can check for items that are or for search volumes misspelled. But that's really cool. But essentially, all right, so floating shelf, here we go. This is exactly what I typed in. Floating shelf, 17,000, 52 searches a month for exactly that, but only 3 products. Now, I know that this is not good. I know you want something that people are searching thousands for, but my point is, by using this tool, I can quickly go in and find out how many people are searching for it and also what my competition is. Now, if I really wanted to go down a rabbit trail, what I could do is I could actually go to Amazon and floating shelf. So it looks like a lot of these floating shelves are the hardware list, right? Man, those are terrible pictures. But they have some internal hardware that I've actually sourced some of these for myself back in the day. There's very, very little with hardware attached, okay? It's all floating. So all over page 1 is this floating shelf. I don't see any with that kind of steampunk, that metal thing, right? So this looks like a Home Depot item. I know this is a Home Depot item. This looks like a 2x8 or a 2x6. They beat up with a chain, stained it. You can get this over in the like the gas fittings in Home Depot. And if we're seeing this on Etsy, they claim it's a bestseller. I don't know if that's a real bestseller badge, but you can actually, wow, 1,000 reviews. Okay, guys, so this is actually really interesting. Remember I told you not to trust the software? Don't trust the software. Software's a cool tool. Don't just trust the software. Reviews, 1,000. That means that, I mean, what if the average review rate is like 1/20th of the people that buy them? They're selling a crap ton of these. But like I said, if I go to Amazon, nobody has the exact same thing. So here's what I would challenge you to do in this case, or what I would do myself. I would literally run over to Home Depot and I would buy 10 of those. I would take just a decent cell phone picture and I'd run a sponsored ad. I'm checking my cost per click to see what my competition is. I am seeing, and I'm going to jack the price up. I want this so expensive that nobody's really going to buy it. I want to mine data for about a week and then drop it down to what I would consider a reasonable price. If I drop it down to that reasonable price and that sucker starts selling with some cell phone pics, then I feel pretty confident that as long as I can stay where everybody else is in the same, the same kind of hardware list thing, that I now have a unique idea. But if I'm on Amazon.com and I look up floating shelf, I'm getting the same ideas. And what people tell you is, oh, find one that's cool, go to Alibaba and source it. No, we want a differentiator. Etsy, go to Etsy, find a different variation. You can make, most of you can go to any hardware store within the next 48 hours and have 10 of these ready to go. You stick them in a Uline box, ship them in and test them, right? Etsy is a freaking gold mine. And like I said, most of this stuff is so easy to produce that it's really, really easy to test. You can even get into like their toys. Like I hate the toy industry because it's so saturated, but you're going to see lots of simple stuff in here and get ideas. See a lot of stuff that's going to be saturated. What is this? A wooden teether. All right. You know that people absolutely love like gifty stuff for kids. This can't be hard to do. It's just a wooden teether. Now make sure you don't have any chemicals in this thing to be bad for the kids, but really literally 20 seconds into looking at this, I found something cool. Can this be reproduced in China? Abso-stinking-lutely. You're probably going to pay 20 cents a piece for these if you buy 500 of them. 986 reviews. Now, I haven't gone to Amazon to see if there's a wood animal teether in there. There might be, so I'm not saying that all of these are dead winners, But literally, if I were on Amazon looking at teethers, this might be hidden on page 20. I don't even know it's there. But by coming to Etsy, I can find these items with a high search volume, low relationship with with competitors, or just find something that there are a lot of competitors, but I can be so unique, like those floating shelves, that I can stand out. And really quickly, I want to show you guys something. So I was just showing you Magnet, and I'm telling you that there are items with a high search volume versus competitors. And we're looking at this Magnet IQ score, which the highest one was 69. I don't even know what this is. I don't know what product it is, but it's because there's no products listed on it. That's why it is. 138 searches a month. All right. Floating shelves, 87,000 searches a month. All right. So like I was saying, 87,000, but it's all the same thing that we saw. So I want to show you guys something just so you know that this whole helium-10 magnet thing is not a load of crap. I'm going to show you a screenshot. An hour before we jumped to this webinar, I was cruising through here just for the heck of it, really just to make sure they didn't change their software before I showed you guys what was up. Looks like a complete moron. Check out the screenshot. Does that number look a little higher? This is a product I'd never heard of till an hour ago. So if I'm looking at the Magnet IQ score, which is just correlation of searches versus products, now check this out. 2,300 exact, 2,300 broad. Now, most of your competing products are going to be covered under that broad, right? Because those are like Amazon's algorithm weird keywords. Only 17 competing products, and I can tell you because I looked, every single one of those is in the broad. If I go to exact search phrase and I type in exactly what I searched, there is not a single product on there that matches it. 2,300 people a month searching for it, and it's not even on Amazon, guys. These are out here. I found this like in 30 minutes, an hour before the webinar. It happens. Now, what's interesting is the product that I found on Pinterest, and when I found it, it's a relatively new product that correlates to some other trending things that I found online. I suspect that this search volume within the next 3 months will be at 10,000. And I'm basing that based on like past experience of seeing how these things trend. It's a new thing that it's kind of a hipster thing. But guys, look, 2,300. So combined about 6,000 or 5,500, only 17 products of the basic. The headline ASINs, zero tells me that nobody's even running an ASIN with that exact description. But there's 17 competing products and 7 sponsored ASINs in unrelated areas, but they're close, or related but not exact. So now you guys have seen this. I just want to show you that this is possible. So I'm running down some rabbit trails, and I'm intentionally not looking at some of the good stuff, but I wanted to show you what's possible here. So, all right, everybody good on that? I can close that. Gives a little validation that this is actually possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyways, Etsy, I'm going to move on. I tell people all the time, and I understand this too. The sample thing is tough, guys. All of this mainstream private label stuff, I run into it every day because we have a lot of courses and we have a lot of coaches and stuff that refer us as sourcing agents, but they all call us and they say, hey, I need to order this thing from China. I need, 50 items to test. I literally was emailing a guy today. He wanted 50 items. Guys, 50 is so tough. And it's not because the factory doesn't want to work with you. They just don't have time. If they're bringing in orders consistently of 3, 4, 5, 6,000 MOQ units, your units MOQ, they're not going to stop their entire production line for 50, because if the item doesn't work, you never come back for another order, then they just kind of waste their time because they can't mark it up high enough for 50 units to make money. Don't get discouraged by that. Work around it. And I have people that get mad at me. What do you mean you're a sourcing company? You couldn't get a lower MOQ? No, we're your go-between, but we can't make these factories do anything. The biggest problem with those lower MOQs is people are wanting to test, or the biggest reason. If you know it's going to work, most people don't have a problem buying thousands of units, right? But test. On Etsy, find these ideas on Etsy. You can test these yourself, okay? Not just by producing them, those shelves. You can go produce those. But literally, if I want to test this and it's not on Amazon, I'm going to buy 10 of these. Literally going to buy 10 of them exactly like this. If this exact one is on Amazon, but I want to test another animal, no problem. I can still test this by creating a unique ASIN. So what I can do is they have different animals. I'll buy 5 rabbits and I'll buy 5 foxes. I'll have them shipped to my house or my office, your house. I will bundle them as one unique bundle. And now I have a unique ASIN, so I can still test it, right? Because you're not encroaching on someone else's ASIN. You're not replicating an ASIN, but you can test the demand. You can test the keyword volume. You can test your pay-per-click cost, which says your competition, without investing in 500 items or 50 items from China and going through all the trouble. In 2 hours, I can find 10 unique items on Etsy, buy them, and in a few days, they're all at my house. I'm setting up test listings. But because I'm not going to Amazon, I'm going to Etsy. So have I completely buried that in the ground, said that too many times? Have I completely convinced you need to be on Etsy? I hope so. Barbara, unless you see a strong reason not to, and I'm not watching the comments, if you'll watch the chat for me and see if there's a comment that's relevant, I can jump in there.
Nope, I'm absolutely watching the chat and answering some things in there, so we're good.
Okay. So otherwise, I'm going to jump on my next one because I told you this is going to be some cool stuff. We're going to run out of time.
One quick question that's relevant to where you're at right now in regards to helium-10. Do you put more attention to phrase search volume or broad search volume?
Phrase, because remember, Amazon's job is to sell things, right? So what Amazon will intentionally do is give you options. That's your broad search volume. So even on Magnet is just tying into the algorithm of Amazon. So like this broad phrase volume, a lot of this stuff isn't going to be relevant, but it's because Amazon is saying this is associated with this. So Amazon is trying to drum up as many sales as they can, which is obvious. Now, what broad phrase will do is it will give me some other ideas. So what I can actually do is, what do we do? Floating shelf. If I click broad phrase right here, it should pull up the highest number of broad phrase. All right, wall shelf. So I'll use this as a tool, okay? So I'll know that wall shelf is really popular. So if I'm actually launching that listing, I want in the back end of my title, or maybe in the back end of my listing, wall shelf, because who knows if I sell this, of course it's very highly competitive, but if I can sell these things for a couple of years, I could start ranking up organically on wall shelf. So I'm not going to use the broad phrase as a real good indicator of research, but I'm going to use it as information when I actually launch my listing, because this is by far the most heavily searched and sold title description of this whole genre, right, of this whole product category. So it's good information to have, but exact phrase I like. Remember on my screen share, exact phrase. So this is not a tremendous example, but even if my broad phrase here was 50,000, okay, 50,000, as long as my exact phrase is massively different and there's still no headline ASINs on this, meaning there's nothing, I don't even care if this is 50 or 60,000, because it just means that Amazon has found something in the same ballpark, but it's not exact. So I am generally looking at exact and comparing that to the headline ASINs, how many sponsored ads are running. And then, of course, just going to Amazon and looking it up myself. And if on the first page nothing similar comes up to it, then I know there's a really good opportunity. Does that answer that question, I hope?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Hey, there are some questions coming in the chat. I just wanted to remind you folks that in order to give as much relevant and niche content as possible during this webinar, we're going to focus, Tim, on where to find unique items to sell on Amazon or to bring to the Amazon marketplace that other sellers aren't using. So we want to really focus your questions on that topic, and everything else we can answer in the Facebook group after the webinar.
Yeah, and you can find me on Facebook if you need to, and just send me a private message, and I will commit to answering all of them today. So if you have a private, something that's unrelated to this, just find me, Tim Jordan, on Facebook, and send me a private message, or go to the Deal Divas group. And
yeah, I'll put that in the chat, the facebook.com/groups/DealDiva, and you can ask all your questions in there as well, and I'll put that link in the chat for you.
And we'll try to save a few minutes at the end of this webinar and run through some of the highlight questions as well that are kind of mostly related. But anything even unrelated, shoot us a message. All right, let me go to one of the coolest ones that I know of, coolest websites, coolest online resources, Life Hacks. If you're not familiar with Life Hacks, you are missing out. Life Hacks is literally this trending thing that people are doing to brag about how they've created an item that fixes a problem. All right, we all know the best products fix problems, okay? So literally life hacks are something that people are making, people are bragging about, and generally they're not monetizing. Like life hacks, people aren't really selling this stuff. It's not a sales platform. It's literally these blogs where people are like, oh, look at me, I came up with this cool idea. And we're like, thank you, I have your idea. So I actually spend more time on life hacks than I will even on Etsy or Pinterest, because I can scroll really, really fast. So I just went to Google. I think that's where I went, Google, and I literally just hit the top one. All right, so I type life hacks. I don't really like lifehack.org just because I don't like the layout, but I went to the first one, this Board Panda one. Now, I've seen this page a million times. You may not have. Literally the simplest products to produce ever, and a lot of it is junk. Like, we know that all over Amazon there are strawberry stem removers, right? We know that this is kind of cool. Like, that's kind of neat. It may already be on there, but literally it's crafts. So this is stuff, again, that people are making in their living room, making in their garage. It's stuff that you can replicate quickly, but it's just giving you ideas for a purpose, okay? Chip clips, and stay away from that. So, all right, so the washcloth, wet paper towel in your beverage, put it in the freezer. Yeah, this actually works. So at some point in Amazon, it's probably on there now, there was a need for a reusable thin napkin or paper towel that is the same as all the other napkins and paper towels, but all you have to do is advertise it. So run all your keywords, run your PPC ads as a bottle chiller, right? Because people are looking at this, they're going, oh, I wonder if, there's a product that fixes this need, right? So even if the product doesn't give me an idea, or the picture doesn't give me an idea of a product, it can give me an idea of a need that needs to be filled, and I can repurpose an existing, maybe saturated product and just advertise it like what I consider a tier 3, tier 4 keyword for a unique reason. CD spindle into a bagel tote. At some point in time, that was not on Amazon. You could have got on there. So I think these are cool. A lot of people in the life hack area don't mind spending money for relatively inexpensive stuff. So put your money in a sanitary napkin package before you put it in your purse. No one will steal it. There's going to be one like that in just a second that I saw. I'll go back to some of these. Check this out. About 2 years ago, I almost did this as a private label project, and I never got around to it. But you can now buy these that are fake. So people take like these shampoo bottles, sunscreen bottles, and they're just completely fake, and you put like your belongings into it, and at the beach, no one steals it, right? So this has been out here for, 4 or 5 years, but at one point, this is brand new, and Life Hacks will show you stuff like that.
Yeah, Chip, on that one, I've seen some Facebook ads come up my feed or some videos showing multiple travel hacks for hiding your money. I would totally create a bundle of 5 or 6 or 7 of those gadgets.
Yep. I think this one's gross but cool. It's a Ziploc bag with stains on it. So when you're at the office, you put your sandwich on it, everybody thinks it's moldy, right? So I suspect that these are on Amazon. I don't know. But if they're not, I hope one of you jumps on it really fast. Even if they are, think about this. These don't cost anything to make. Like, I can get these even with that stain. Of course, if I called up one of my Chinese suppliers and said, hey, can you give me this nasty stain Ziploc bag? They think I'm insane. I'm okay with that. People call me crazy. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But this doesn't cost anything. They put 25 of these in this paper bag. I mean, your overall cost has got to be like 60 cents, even shipped. I mean, it's dirt cheap. And if you're the first one that finds this idea, like on the Life Hack blog, and gets it to Amazon, like I said yesterday with like the Yeti handles, people will follow suit. That's okay. But as long as you're the first one in the market, you are the Yeti. You can hold that position down, that first position. You've got the number of reviews before reviews and velocity before anybody else sees it. And let me go back to reviews. I was just on the phone with my buddy Seth Kneep. He is the founder of Just One Dime, a fantastic private label coaching program. And he was talking about all of the work that they're doing right now on the reviews that are being deleted. I don't know if you guys have seen this on the Facebook posts and stuff. Basically, Amazon is crushing people's reviews, verified reviews. People that had 60 or 70 reviews are waking up in the last 3 days with 3. What Amazon has done is Amazon has not just started making connections with the coupon codes, but they've actually run a basically an algorithm and determined that for every 30 purchases, we don't know exactly what it is, I'm guessing, for every 30 purchases, you get 1 review. So if you have 90 purchases and 3 reviews, you're good. If you have 90 purchases and 70 reviews, they just delete them all because they know that it had to have been influenced some way. This is actually a good thing for us in the future because it means that if we find a unique product like this and we're the first to take it to market, we may have months and months of getting that velocity up and tweaking our listing and getting sales before anybody else catches on to it. And it means that the ability for them to manipulate the review level and get up to that #1 spot, and reviews is a big piece of that, is severely diminished. So don't be too discouraged for future listings if those reviews are harder to get. If you are one of the people like myself that woke up in the last 2 days and much of my reviews were gone, I feel your pain. I'm not diminishing that whatsoever, but think of that as an opportunity to get your foot in the door on a new product initially, and you can hold on to that a whole lot longer, get a whole lot more of a kind of a foundation before other people even catch on to what you're doing.
Hey, before you scroll further, thank you for that. That's fabulous information. In terms of bundling, I would do a gag gift for office workers and a gag gift for college students, because when I lived in a student dorm, people were stealing things out of the refrigerator all the time. So I would put those as bundles and create a gag gift bundle of related, like that paper bag with the saying on it, but related gifts for office workers that were gag, could be given as presents.
I could give a couple socks to the folks in my office. They'd quit complaining about the toilet seat. Be good. All right, so check this out. This is actually pretty cool. So we've all seen this shoe holder, right? It hangs on your door. I've probably had 30 of these in my life, and I break them all with my heavy, muddy shoes. But not just unique products, but through like sites like this and sources for ideas, I can get ideas of how to cross promote something. So if I'm stuck with a bunch of these, or if I can source these cheap, I know that if I sell them as a shoe holder, that search volume is going to be ridiculous, right? There's 1 million people selling. There's 500 listings for an over-the-door shoe holder. But what if I'm the only person advertising that same product as a cleaner holder?
Laundry room organizer.
Laundry room organizer, and you run a pay-per-click ad with a really good picture with all these cleaners in it, then basically, because I didn't go to Amazon, I went to an off-Amazon site, I'm able to find new ways to sell old products, which is kind of a side note, really cool. Anyways, you get the point with these life hacks. A lot of really, really simple stuff, a lot of repurposed stuff, pool noodle, call that thing a door protector, right? Just tons and tons. I could go through this all day because I actually enjoy it and like it. So life hacks, that is my number 3 spot to get to. And we're going to have to speed up a little bit because we got a long way to go. All right. Number 4 spot that I like to go to. Let me turn off the screen share. Number 4 spot that I like to go to is literally get off my butt and go to a local market, flea market, garage sale, something. Now, I live in Alabama, and nobody likes stereotypes, but sometimes stereotypes are true. And the truth about Alabama is we have some crazy redneck ingenuity. We have guys that do tremendous things in their garage, like literally sitting in their overalls on a 5-gallon bucket making something out of wood, or making something in in their little blacksmith shop, whatever. And you can go, every city in the world has these things, right? I've got some buddies from Guatemala. I see watching this, some clients, man, I've been to some of those markets in Central America that are just full of really cool ideas, right? Because, people are making this stuff, people are ingenuitive, and people aren't always thinking about e-commerce, not thinking about scaling. I was recently at a small trade show, very small niche, and literally walked in, and within like the first 5 tables, I started buying samples. I'm like, man, this is so easy. And I talked to the guys because I don't want to step on anybody's toes if they have a really cool design. I'd say, I've never seen this design before. He said, yeah. He said, I've got a job, yada, yada, yada. I make a few of these to sell at the flea market or at the trade show. He said, it gives me something to do. I said, have you ever thought about making more of these? He said, no, if I can make 20 of them a month and sell them, it covers my gas money or whatever. It's good. So that guy's never going to have his stuff on Pinterest. He's never going to have his stuff on Etsy. If I didn't get off my tail and go to that flea market, go to that trade show, go to that niche expo or conference, I would never see that stuff. Nobody would ever see that stuff until it was too late. So now I can be first to the game with it. Aside from those things, you can step up to like niche regional trade shows. All right. Now let me go forward. Everybody knows about ASD. Everybody knows about Toy Fair. I go there for networking. So if you see me ever say, hey, I'm going to Toy Fair, understand I'm not going there for products, because when you walk in as an Amazon seller at those big places, you're among 500 other or 5,000 or 50,000 other Amazon sellers. It's really tough. Now, sometimes I'll go to get ideas for private label generation, but even then it's super hard because that stuff is well known. It's more mainstream. But the small trade shows, like here in North Alabama, every year they have a small trade show. It is the Hunting and Fishing Expo. And every time I walk into that show, I'm keeping my eyes open because there is a small local inventor, producer, something that has made an item. And one day it might be an accessory to a bow. Another day it might be a boat, a boating accessory for fishing, whatever. And I can talk to them and determine, what need they're filling, what problem they're fixing. And I frequently find out, hey, all these guys want to do is make a few of these at their local CNC shop, sell them, make a little spending money, or they've not patented them, they're not trademarked, and they've done no protection, and they're hoping that like a big box store will find the idea and run with it. Well, I am the box store because I'm selling on Amazon, right? So what I can do is take those ideas, I can repurpose it, I can recreate it, I can walk out of there with 5 or 6 ideas. Now, I walk into a lot of shows and don't get any ideas, right? I understand that. But most shows, I at least come out with 10 unique ideas that aren't even on Amazon. And the search volume may be crud. The product might be junk, right? But at least I'm getting ideas instead of sitting on Amazon. So I'm not telling you that this is like a get rich quick scheme. This isn't easy. This isn't, a slam dunk every time you walk into a market. But I am 100% convinced that if you spend 3 hours in a flea market, trade show, something, as opposed to 3 hours sitting on Amazon.com, that your return on investment will be much higher. And the potential of finding that Yeti that I talked about, that thing sitting on a bottom dusty shelf out there is tremendously higher. And it's just more fun. You can take your spouse, you can take the kids, whatever. It just allows you to open your mind because like we said, even this week when I was talking to that Amazon vice president out in Vegas, they're saying anywhere from 11 to 14% of the world's items are on Amazon. That means there's a humongous amount of stuff out there. You literally have to go out and find it. So I'll move on from that. That's kind of the small regional shows, flea markets, stuff like that. The next thing that I like to do is obviously going to giant international markets. Now, we talked yesterday about the nose Frida. The folks here in the U.S. that found the nose Frida, the snot sucker, found it because they got on a plane and went to Europe to a trade show. One of the most successful ways that I find products is going to China. China is not just a manufacturer for the U.S., and sometimes we forget that. We think about, they make stuff in China and go to the U.S. No, they're making stuff for all over the world. And when I say that, of course, that makes sense. Y'all are kind of rolling your eyes going, oh, yeah, Tim, we know that. But even I forget it sometimes because I don't think about using China as a source for new items. Everybody thinks that going to China just means getting an Alibaba, and it's not. Alibaba is a phone book, guys. You are not buying anything off Alibaba. I can literally get on and post anything I want to on Alibaba this afternoon and be a trader. I have seen some ridiculous stuff. I've been in factories that I know are one name, and while I'm there on a factory visit, a film crew comes in. They hand these little smocks and vests to all the employees of Factory A with the name of Factory B on it, and they do their production, and they're basically filming it. And then, I take a picture of those smocks, and a month later I go back and I search that company name, Company B on Alibaba, and of course there's that video. Look, we're a real factory. No, all they did is paid Factory A to throw the smocks on, right? My point is, the stuff on Alibaba, and there's a lot of stuff. You can make a lot of money sourcing off Alibaba, don't get me wrong. But the real cutting edge stuff, like the stuff that I'm looking for that nobody else is finding yet on Amazon, is not yet on Alibaba generally, because the people that are putting this stuff on Alibaba knows there's a market. I want to be on Amazon with a product before the market really kicks off. That item I showed you that's like a legit golden niche item, you would never, it'll be 10 years before you find that on Amazon, even if it takes off, or 2 or 3 at least. The fidget spinners, they used to not be on Alibaba. They didn't. I was seeing them in China before I saw them on Alibaba. So if you want to get to the next level, you have to go to some of these international trade shows and stuff. I'm going to go back to screen share. And a lot of you know that I do China trips. And the way that started was I was going to China. I was spending a lot of time there, getting a lot of experience. And people were saying, take me with you, take me with you, take me with you. And I was thinking to myself, well, let me get good at it. Let me get good at it. Let me get good at it. Because I went many, many times, spent literally tens and tens of thousands of dollars on plane tickets and hotels and travel and missed time from being home and all that before I really narrowed down a good approach. So my favorite market to go to is the Yiwu Market. The market in Yiwu is immense. There are over 100,000 vendors usually, so it ranges between 90 and 110, but generally 100,000 vendors in the market. Now, just because, I'm going to show you a video basically of what this thing looks like, just so you get an idea of how many products there are. So let me just run through that. So this is just me walking around with the GoPro camera.
Now, how many vendors do you think are at the Yiwu Market?
100,000.
100,000 vendors in one place.
And each one of those little stalls is one vendor.
Wow.
So I'll get to my point in a second. And this is just kind of a random hodgepodge of stuff in this hall, so it's a good place to take a picture.
So it's everything from, you know, big to small to glass to ceramic to fabric. I mean, everything.
Yeah. So essentially, let me close this. Watch this one. Everybody's interested in toys before Q4?
Holy criminy. Boy, I see bundles up the wazoo.
So in the toy section alone is one floor of one of the markets, and it has around 18,000 vendors just in toys. Toys almost takes up a fifth of the market.
Yeah, I see tutus, there's princess bundles, all sorts of bundle ideas just for these shops.
There's a lot of counterfeit stuff too, which is kind of cool. These like counterfeit frozen things.
Yeah.
But let me stop sharing. So my point is, in just those videos that I showed you, you probably, just in the few stalls, you probably, if you went through frame by frame and checked it, you would see 10, 15,000 items. And that's exactly where the guys for Yeti found the Yeti, is they were walking through there and literally found this stainless steel mug sitting on the bottom of the shelf, and you know, the rest is history. So for bang for the buck, literally going on other websites aside from Amazon is great, but best bang for the buck is getting off your tail and going somewhere. Those items, like in Yiwu, you saw a couple of those stalls were obviously some of it very ethnic, you know, so there's going to be stuff that we can't sell in Amazon US. Obviously, there's not going to be demand, but literally everything that you can imagine. And just like I was talking about the other day with the fidget spinners and the magnet blocks, all of that stuff I was seeing in other countries. I was seeing in China before it ever made it here. So I could go really, really deep into my explanation of why it's important to get to other places. I think that video is a very, very good indicator of why, you know, literally 10 steps in a foreign location, looking at products before they make it mainstream is very, very, very valuable. So we're at like 155. I really hammered through a lot of that. I know that I could go much deeper in every one of those topics. We're trying to keep this to an hour. I know that we need to get to some questions. So Barbara, I'm going to kind of let you take it from here. I know you've been watching the comments, and I have not been.
Yeah, that's okay. So don't worry about reading the comments, because I'll just I'll read them off to you kind of in the order of importance that I think are relevant to this topic. So first of all, let's to recap. Some of your favorite places to find unique products are Pinterest, Etsy, lifehacks.com, or lifehacks. Just Google lifehacks.
Yeah, blogs, lifehack blogs.
Yard sales, flea markets, and international trade shows. And yesterday you actually talked about a couple of other places. You don't have to source just from China, although it is a little bit more convenient from China because there are groups like yours where I know you do a group sourcing trip that kind of encapsulates everything to the Yiwu Market. Hey guys, I went to China. I went to 6 trade shows in 12 days last April, and I was so overwhelmed. I could just kind of stalled when I came back because I didn't have a plan before I got there. I just sort of showed up in China and and went off. And then when I got there, I didn't have an organized, okay, what do I do now? I just sort of did the shotgun approach. And when I came home, I didn't have a plan to implement. So you can go to China on your own like I did. And it's helpful to have a coach and a guide that can shortcut all the things you don't even need to know that you need to know. And that's one of the reasons why I asked him to come on my show, so that we could talk about how we can help you, how he can help you and his group successfully source from China and get up and running as quickly as possible with these Yeti items that he can also help you find. So let's start with a question here. I'm sorry, did you want to say something, Tim? Go ahead.
Yeah, Colby, I don't know if you came in late. You've got a few of these questions right here at the end. I'll address really fast. Basically, if you find an item, how do you test it? And we went over that extensively by using the software tool I prefer, Helium-10, and their tool called Magnet, which what I'm checking for is search volume compared to basically a negligence of products available on Amazon. So Colby, I suspect that you missed all that. You must have come in late. I went over that pretty in depth. If you want to
Watch
I
the
know when Barbara
replay.
releases the replay, it will answer that question 100%. So when she sends out the replays early next week, watch the first half of this session, and it will completely answer that for you.
Yep, absolutely. So that's product research. Colby will get it. That was covered in the first half of this webinar, guys, and I'll send out the replay in about 3 days or so, and I'll have a link where all of the replays are on the same page. So if you want, you can watch the 3 webinars sequentially. So fairs, markets, trade shows, how do you go about duplicating them, Chinese manufacturers? I'm glad you asked, Colby. You have some really wonderful questions. Oh, and by the way, guys, if we don't get to your questions, go ahead to Facebook and look for Business Building for Amazon Sellers. And that's my Facebook group. And you can post everything in there, all your questions in there, and we'll both get on and answer those for you. So, Tim, why don't we talk about, hey, guys, I'm going to China, by the way. Alert, I'm headed to China with Tim's group. And Tim, I'd love it if you can tell us a lot about this group sourcing trip to Yiwu.
Yeah, it's actually been amazing. The first 2 webinars, how many people have contacted us, and not that we were really, really advertising it, but a lot of people are interested. So we put together a quick advertisement because I realized, Barbara, in your audience and some of the folks, for even my followers who are watching this, are interested in going. And I realized if we're going to teach this, then we need to at least give an option. So what we did was we put together just a quick kind of a quick thing here on the screen that talks about what we do. So here's the way the China trip works. Let me give you the history. Like I said, I've been going to China for years, learned a lot of bad ways of doing things, spent a lot of time and money not being effective, and specifically spent a lot of time in Yiwu honing these kind of practices, these traits. And one thing that I found is there are other, and this kind of kicked me in the butt, there were some other trips that were being endorsed, people, taking 200 people for 3 days to Yiwu. And that's when I put my foot down and said, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. Let's make the trip I want to. So basically what we do is we take all of this experience that I've got and my local team, because Hickory Flats is not just me. I have a Chinese business partner in Shanghai. We have staff there. And we try to make it as much of a teaching trip as possible. This is not just come shopping with us. It is teaching. So we have teaching prior to going. You cover your airfare. And once you land in Shanghai, we meet you at the airport and everything is handheld. I had a lady back in March that went with us who literally had not been on a plane in like 12 years. And she was scared to death, but she came anyways. And like halfway through the trip, she said, I don't know what I was worrying about because we cover everything. Everything is completely turnkey, kind of all-inclusive. We cover your meals, we cover your hotels, the cost, the actual logistics of it. But what's very important to me is, one, you spend time in China. Yiwu is not something you could tackle in 3 days. Absolutely cannot be done. You're jet lagged. You're overwhelmed. You've got so much going on in your brain, you can't do it. So we spend a couple days in Shanghai, and I call that like our relaxation time. Really, it's just kind of getting over jet lag, but it's also networking, because every time that we go, we bring mastermind contributors like Barbara. We bring and Barbara, there's some other folks coming on even the September trip in addition to you. We want to make sure there's a lot of networking opportunities. One of my biggest successes in private label has really come from just going to conferences and going to these mastermind meetups and learning from other people. So we want to offer that out of actually the shopping experience, but it lets you get over the kind of jet lag session or segment of the trip, but it also gives you an opportunity just to have some fun, because we go see some world famous sites and all that good stuff. So we pack in a couple days of sightseeing, networking, jet lag recovery, and training. That way, when we actually hit the market in our 3 days, you have an idea of what to do. So I literally am going to teach you what it took me years to figure out by myself, and having basically a game plan when you walk in. We make sure that every one of our attendees has a private shopping assistant. So this is your translator, someone that knows the markets, taking notes for you, literally is your right-hand man, so to speak, for the 3 full days that we're in the shop. Every day that we come back from them, and we'll give you advice based on what niches you want to get into, what floors and what levels and what to look for, what not to. All that stuff, we'll pack all that information in prior to going and while we're there. And then after every shopping day, we have more mastermind sessions. I call them powwows. We get together. We all kind of go over the list of what we experienced that day. We don't have to talk about products specifically, but kind of learn from each other. And then we come back. I have you a game plan of how to launch and test. Now, one thing about Yiwu that is tremendous, not only are there millions of products under one roof that you can see literally in just a couple days, but Yiwu self-regulates with pricing. And the way that happens is there's not a ton of manufacturers here. It's mostly resellers of similar products. So what they have to do is they have to keep their prices low to compete with their next door neighbor. So when you go in the kitchen area, you'll see a lot of the same thing. What you're looking for is those Yetis, on the bottom shelf or in the back corner, or the things that are brand new, literally the fidget spinners and magnet tiles that I saw there in abundance before it ever made it to the US. But because other people have similar items, the price is low. So you don't have to do a ton of negotiating. And Alibaba, sometimes they're marking stuff up 200 or 300%. Here it's kind of self-regulated. Also, most of these items are meant to be sold in low MOQs, meaning they're already produced. You can buy 1, 2, 5 cases. That lady I was talking about earlier that went with me in March that was scared of traveling, she literally, after 3 days in the market, actually she only spent like 2.5 days because she just got overwhelmed. She's just sick of it, wanted to come back and get a massage at the hotel. Came back with over 800 product ideas. 800. So what she did is she came back, she researched that using Helium-10 and some other tools, looked up high demand stuff that was not oversaturated on Amazon. And I think she's ordered, I hate to guess. Let me think. No, I'm going to guess. I hate to mistake exactly. Somewhere between 70 and 80 SKUs, 70 and 80 SKUs that are undersaturated. There's demand for them, and she's buying them in small MOQs. So what would normally take on a custom production a lot of money for one product, you're kind of going deep but not wide. You can go very wide but not deep, which is a tremendous asset when you're testing and searching stuff. Everything that you try is not going to be a hit. Some of the stuff you think is not going to be a hit is going to be a big hit. Other things that you would expect to really aren't, but you haven't spent a ton of money going deep in one product. So that's why, we offer like stuff like these Yiwu trips, because I think it's valuable. We have teaching. There are people that wouldn't go to China unless they're in a group setting or they knew that they had local assets on the ground if an emergency happens, or how do I get on the train? Like, we cover all of that. And our price of this trip has gone up because of demand and we're selling out. But Barbara sweet talked me, and we're actually giving a promotion based on these webinars. So
before you go any further, Tim, I just want to interject a little bit. So this is from about an hour and a half ago. I did a screenshot of what it would cost me to get from LA to Shanghai, which is where we all meet. And it's got a flight for $392. And hey guys, if you haven't signed up for Scott's Flights yet, go sign up for Scott's Flights, because he digs out like the best deals. I've seen some as low as a couple $100 to get into China. So the flights to China, when you book now, right, the closer you get to a China trip or any trip, of course, the prices are going to go up. But when you book now, you can get one for under $500 easily. Also, I am in the mastermind group with the September event. So if you also want to get bundle training, fanatical niche market training, I'll be doing that as part of the mastermind group for the September trip. So I think what would be really awesome, Tim, is if you could show us the sales page, show us the web page where it shows what people experience during this trip. Can you do a screen share and use that link?
So because we had so many people interested in this trip, basically I told Barbara I would hook her up and anybody that's watching this webinar with a limited time. I know it sounds spammy. A limited time.
Well, actually, we're going to limit it to 12 people.
Yeah, and we're only going to
September trip, or you're going to let them have this discount for any date, which is
for
fine.
Basically for any date, because I don't know how to manipulate the coupon codes, but most people
not
I think
only that, but that gives you guys an option of August, September. I mean, you've got a few of them coming up, so you're not locked into September. But if you want my coaching as well, basically for free. I don't have a coaching program right now because I don't have the time to coach people individually, but you'll get me on the September trip as well. And he has other mastermind leaders in the other trips too. So you can pick any of the dates and apply this discount. So thank you for that.
So basically come to hickoryflats.com, go to this China sourcing trip tab right here, and it has all the information that you could possibly want about the trip.
Yeah, go ahead and share. There you go.
It has videos of other people here. We've got like some reviews and stuff that people have given us, but it gives you all the rundown on exactly what we're doing. This is a guy that went in March that gave a review of the trip, which is pretty cool. Check that video out. He gives a lot of cool information. He doesn't work for us or anything. He was just an attendee and said, hey, I think it'd be cool to do this video. It's got the schedule, the days that we're there, what we do on those days. So the primary leadership team, that's kind of standard. You've got me, of course, you know who I am, my partner, Ron, who has a lot of experience in sourcing and logistics. He runs our office in Shanghai, and he's 50% owners of the corporation here. And then I've got a long-term friend, Olivia, who she owns her own company doing like professional business assistance and tour guiding and all that stuff. And basically, we put her in charge of all the logistics and hospitality. So everything is 5-star accommodations, really, really nice. On this trip, we used to offer a little lower, but because it's selling out, of course, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. We had to raise the price. So we've raised the price to $79.99. For Barbara, because she sweet talked us, we've actually dropped that down. So I had my back-end website developers set up a special link just for that reserved one, and it will be open for 14 days. So Barbara, I assume you can email that out or you could share it in the chat.
Yeah,
But
share it in the chat, but I will also put it up on the screen here real quick for you guys. So if you just went to his website and registered, then you're not going to get the discount. You've got to go to my secret link here, and it is bit.ly/China discount. And I put that in the chat.
Yep. And basically what will happen is when you come to the page through her link, it will still show this price, but when you go to get started now, sign up at the checkout, it will take off basically at $2,000. So basically what you're looking at is $59.99, and that covers your hotels, your meals, the training, basically everything but your all the sightseeing events. We cover all that. It just doesn't cover your flight, which you saw from Barbara is pretty expensive. So we'll keep that unlocked here for I think 14 days is what we set at, so everybody could, you know, do their research.
Well, 14 days or the first 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it could be that those 12 people get in the next week. So don't hesitate, all right? If you're ready to get to China, and not just to get to China, but because anybody can get on a plane and get to China, but this is a very targeted training and hand-holding walkthrough of how do you get from concept all the way to having a manufacturer ready to launch on Amazon. Plus, I think it's great that your team also does, and this is your primary business, Tim, is and because I've engaged you for it, is how do I get my stuff back? Let's say I found a product, I've tested it on Amazon, now what do? You have an entire business around freight forwarding and custom, like everything, and how to get my stuff from factory all the way into Amazon. So it's not just, hey, we'll take you to China, and then you're on your own. This is very much a hand-holding. We want you to be successful.
Correct. So whose screen are we on?
That's my screen. Sorry. I was showing them if they click on that link that I gave you, it'll take you to a page that looks pretty much the same. But when you click on Get Started Now, enter your information, it should apply that discount from, and I'm sorry, I wrote on the slide $59.97. So $2 more. I apologize.
So let me answer this question. Do we get pre-training before the trip? Absolutely. So I can't teach you everything there is to know about private label, but I will prepare you for the trip. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to have some video presentations. We're going to have some live webinars just for the trip attendees. We're also going to have closed Facebook groups just for the trip attendees. And basically I will fill you in to the best of my ability so that when you walk in there, you know what you're looking for, you know how to approach the market, you know what type of pre-trip research you should be doing, and I'll give you a really good advice on what pre-trip research not to be doing, kind of like I've done on this webinar. Of course, on the trip, we'll have information, and then I will also share my launch plan with you at the end of the trip, which is basically, okay, you've got these products. Here's the steps that I take to actually launch these products once I've identified something in demand and I actually buy my test orders. Everyone in the same hotel, yes. To do my job well, I need to make sure that everybody is well taken care of. And, you know, one giant advantage to this is a group setting. You know, we're all learning from each other. We're all learning with each other, and we have to be in close proximity. So we stay at 5-star hotels in Shanghai and in Yiwu. Generally, we're one big happy family while we're there. We've never had any issues. Everybody's loved it. I have watched business partners or businesses form partnerships sitting in the lobbies of these hotels. Yep. I have seen people become lifelong friends because this is a big experience. So it's a big thing. And I have literally seen, like I said, people that go in and 3 days later come back with 800 plus product ideas. And a month later, they've got 20 to 30 of them, 40 of them on the water coming to the U.S. to sell. And it's tremendous. So that's why I'm kind of talking about it now, because the theme of this is what have I done to be successful, and this literally is one of the best fast track ways that I know of. So I hope that answers your question.
There were some things I had to do in order to prep to go to China for the first time. So I know that you help. If you haven't been to China yet, that's okay. Tim's going to walk you through all that, and I put the screen share up so you can see on the web page. You want to go over a little bit about what they?
everybody asks about stuff like the visa. You've got to get your own visa, but we're going to give you a guide to that. This is how to get your visa. We'll get you invitation letters from our factory or our company, our office in China, basically walk you through all that. So, of course, if you've got a criminal record in an Asian country, you can't get a visa. But generally speaking, if you don't have a clue how to get started, we can point you in the right direction and make sure that all that's taken care of for you. We send a lot of guides throughout the trip. So as soon as someone signs up, they get like an email packed full of PDFs, and it's everything from, hey, here's how to get through customs, here's when we'll meet you at the airport, to here's how you get your visa, to here's a packing list, health considerations, like everything. When people go with me anywhere, whether it's Central America, whether it's China, whether it's my family loading up to go to the beach, I feel responsible. I want to make sure that I am mitigating any potential issues, risks, discomforts. So when we started building this trip out sometime back, these trips, I tried to do everything that I could within my power to make sure that all of those little things were taken care of, because you don't have to deal with that. You want to come, you want to learn, network, and shop, right? You want to do research. You don't have to worry about how do I get my next cab? How do I get a train ticket? Where am I going to eat tonight? We just cover all that stuff for you.
Yeah, that would have been a relief my first trip to. I think I was overwhelmed about half of those 12 days. So that's just a relief to know that somebody's there just taking care of you. And I know you have staff on the ground too. Hey, Tim, while you were talking, I just thought of a bonus that I could add. If you guys go to the September trip, because that's one that I'm part of the mastermind team, I will give you a pre-trip training on my 6-step approach to creating bundles. And part of that is how I identify fanatical niche markets and problems and passions that need to be solved in those markets and can be identified in those markets. So I'll throw that training in for free when you register for the September event, and that'll kind of give you a little bit more pre-content research information. How's that?
Yep. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, anybody else that has a question on that, just you can message me. You can message Barbara. You'll get that link in the email. You've got it right there. And any information that you might want is shown on that website. All the bells and whistles and nuts and bolts of that trip. So, any other questions related to the training? I think that we covered most of it. I did get a private message from my buddy Fernando. Tim, when are you going to start sourcing retreats in Central America? Those are coming up quicker than you think, buddy. We will be doing them this fall, and we're just finishing a couple of the legalities, and then we will actually be releasing that information probably in the next week or 2 weeks, and that's going to be completely different than China. The whole approach is very, very different, a whole completely different experience and training, but that is coming. Lori, I don't think that we missed any other questions about our training seminar today. Can you think of anything? There's some unrelated stuff to. Yeah,
if there's unrelated stuff, go ahead and go to the Facebook group, facebook.com or facebook.com/group/DealDiva. Post your questions in there that are related to anything that has to do with sourcing products, finding new products, bringing to the Amazon marketplace, going to China, anything, and we'll answer those in the Facebook group. You can also reach out to myself and Tim on Facebook and via email. You can sign up for the newsletter, ecominsights.com. Let's see, and JL asks, if this fills up, does this discount apply to another trip? This discount is specifically for any of the China dates. So for this year, we'll limit it to this year, okay? So I think there are 3 or 4 dates coming up for the China trips. Yep. So August, September, what are the other dates, Tim?
August, September, and October. We got one in October too. So
we've got 3 China trips coming up this year. You can apply that $2,000 discount to any of those 3. And thank you, Tim, for doing that. I appreciate it.
Well, I know. The big reason we have to limit it is I have a partner to answer to too. And I talked to him, and he said, Tim, these trips are selling out. Why would you offer a discount? And I said, just let me have this one.
I appreciate that.
Really
appreciate that.
Sometimes I undersell, but that's all right. I'd rather have good folks on the trip. If we can give them a price break, then, kind of any other motivation. So I did finagle 12 of those out. So that link will kind of shut off and discontinue the discount once those 12 are filled up.
Great. So guys, if you're serious about building your Amazon business, especially with fourth quarter coming up pretty darn quickly, right? Hop on one of the China trips. You can go over there now and get the discount before those 12 discount codes are gone. And we look forward to seeing you there. And I'm going to send the replay out for all 3 of these webinars. Thank you, Tim. First of all, I want to thank you for investing your time for this entire week for 3 full webinars and then some on creating this content and bringing it to my followers and your followers. And again, heartfelt thank you for making all this happen.
No problem. It has been a pleasure.
Likewise. Okay, guys, look for your emails. I'm going to send you out an email next week with one link to all 3 replays. I promise. Give me a few days to get it going. Thank you again, Tom. I'm sorry, Tim. And I will see you guys later.
Let me say one more thing, Barbara.
Oh yeah, please.
Oh, good question. Helium discount code. I do have a Helium 10 discount code that Manny gave me. It is Tim J.
Tim J is the Helium discount code. Put that on the chat for you.
Yeah, and what that does is it doesn't apply to the cheapest one, which is like introductory, but I think it's called the Platinum and Diamond plans, the middle and the higher plan that I use. I use that middle plan. It gives you 50% off. So instead of $200 a month, it's $99 a month, and it is the best $99 a month you could ever spend.
That's crazy.
There is another awesome tool on Helium 10 called this like completely makes up for it. This Refund Genie, and what Refund Genie does is it goes through and it basically searches all your inventory discrepancies. When I first signed up for Helium 10, I thought $99 a month. Am I going to use that month? And within the first month, it gave me back like $6,500. Like it showed me where I missed out on $6,500. So, anyways, I know.
Now, is that a separate subscription or?
No, same subscription. All of these things are in that same subscription. So, long story short, if you're thinking about getting a software tool, get rid of a lot of the junk out there. Jump on Helium 10. I think it is the best. So, how long is the discount for? The discount for that link is 14 days.
Well, no. We're going to do 12 people because if we say 14 days and, in a week they're gone. So there are 12 discount spots, period.
That's right.
12. So if they fill up over the weekend, because it's a long weekend, so some people like myself, I'm going to be digging into some projects this weekend and taking these 3 days to really knock stuff out. Other people are doing that too, so they could take those 12 codes could be gone by the end of this heavy work weekend for some. So don't hesitate. Don't wait till 14 days. Once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah,
we did set it up to automatically discontinue after 14 days, which is I was thinking. I didn't think. So we've got the Helium 10 discount code, and there was another question. No, there wasn't. We're good. So Colby, you're only an hour and a half away. So I think we lost Barbara. All right, good. And if anybody has any questions, shoot me here, Barbara.